Hey guys, Josh from SoccerReviewsForYou.com, bringing you my review plus on-feet video of a pair of Walmart soccer cleats slash football boots. Now, I'm starting this video off a little differently than I normally would. We're going to take a closer look at the shoe, talk tech specs, take a look at the weight, as well as take a look at how they fit and feel on feet. So stick around for that. But before we do that, I want to talk about a couple things in regards to how I got these shoes, the price of them, and also what I plan on doing as far as a video series is concerned with this particular pair of shoes. So for those that don't know, or perhaps this is the first time you're seeing this shoe on my channel, I first showed you guys these in my new stuff series. If you missed that video, I'll leave a little pop-up on screen. You can go ahead and watch it out. But basically the story is this. I was at my local Walmart and walking past the shoe section, and they had these on clearance. Now, I'm located in Canada, so this is obviously a Canadian Walmart, and the prices were in Canadian, but I'll convert it to US dollars just to keep things as clear and simple as possible. This is a shoe that normally retails for $25 Canadian, which is the equivalent of about 18 US dollars, and it was on sale for $15 Canadian, the equivalent of about 11 US dollars. So for 11 bucks, you got yourself a brand new pair of soccer cleats, which is an insanely low amount of money. There isn't a lot you can buy for $11. You can go to McDonald's and eat more than $11 worth of food. So for 11 bucks, I was just really curious. I picked them up, showed them to you guys, and the amount of enthusiasm for more videos on these Walmart shoes I thought was pretty incredible. So that's why I'm making this video today, and that's why I think there's going to be some follow-up videos as well. So for $11 US, we're going to talk about all the tech specs and exactly what you get from this particular shoe. As far as specifics go, this is made by Rawlings, which is obviously a baseball brand more so than a soccer brand, but they do have some form of a partnership with Walmart to make soccer cleats. This is pretty much as generic as it gets, which you guys will see in just a second. And again, for the super low price point, it's a pretty good value proposition in terms of just the bare necessities of what a soccer cleat is, which is something that, one, provides traction, and two, provides a certain touch on the ball, a feel that you would deem to be good, if that makes any sense. The way the shoe fits, the weight of the shoe, the shape of the shoe, all of those other elements are something that more or less is based on personal preference. The main reason why you wear soccer cleats to play the sport is, again, to have a certain touch provided by the shoe, and obviously to have traction with the cleats under your feet. So as kind of a bare necessity product, this does get the job done. It's officially called the Rawlings Stadio 16 for those that are wondering. Availability, I assume they are still available at your local Walmart. These ones were still available. I just checked the other day before I made this video. But nonetheless, that's what we're going to talk about in today's video. What you get for $11 at a Walmart in the form of a pair of soccer cleats. And what I plan on doing in a follow-up video is perhaps doing kind of a vlog style playtest like I've been doing over the last couple of weeks, where I wear the shoes, you guys get to watch me wear them, and I talk about what it's like to play in a pair of $11 shoes. Do they get the job done? Is it worth spending all that extra money on a pair of Nike or Adidas branded shoes? Or should you just go to Walmart and get a pair of shoes for $11, $20, whatever it may be? Super low prices. I can tell you right away, the quality is definitely better if you spend more money, but do you need to spend more money? That's kind of the question that I want to answer in a follow-up video. So with that being said, let me know what you guys think of this idea down below in the comment section. Leave your feedback as far as perhaps other ideas that you might have in regards to what I can do with this particular shoe. And with that being said, let's get right into the review and take a closer look at what these have on offer. All right, so here is a look at the Rawlings Stadio 16. This is a shoe that they sell at Walmart that normally retails for about $18 US. I assume it's available at your local Walmart. They're at mine. I can't speak for all of them, but it's basically as cheap a soccer shoe that you can buy in brand new condition. I've gone to thrift stores actually where they sell shoes for more than what I got these for in used condition that honestly was not worth it at all. So as far as tech specs go, there isn't a whole lot to talk about here just because there's not a lot of background information. It's kind of just something that they sell in the store, but it does come with a tag. So you can see the Rawlings brand. Some of you guys may be familiar with the logo if you do play baseball or something like that. It does have the original retail price, $24.97. I paid $15, which again, the equivalent of about $11 US. And on the inside, there are some tech specs listed, so I'll just read them off for you really quickly. You have a soft padded collar for for ankle and heel comfort. You have rubber outsole for increased durability and traction, and you have reinforced stitching for increased internal support. So those are the three main tech specs that they show on the tag here that I would honestly consider to not even be features. They're pretty much just basic necessities for what you would have to have in order to have this shoe be considered a soccer shoe. And again, I don't want to make this video kind of hating on these because again, they are super, super cheap. You can only expect so much. And honestly, I'm just surprised that they are as cheap as they are. I would expect something like this to be $40. At least that's what I think they would sell it for. But again, $25 full retail, $18 US. That is as cheap as it gets for just about anything. You're going to have a hard time buying any shoe for that price, let alone a pair of soccer cleats. So with the upper, as you guys can see, it's pretty straightforward. It's a really, really cheap synthetic material. There's no really other way around it. It almost has like a laminated plastic feel to it in terms of the finish on the surface. It's very, very shiny, as you can see. There is some texturing through the midfoot, the heel. The forefoot area does have kind of a more traditional stitching pattern. But like I said, there's nothing about this particular material that feels premium at all. It's got some good stiffness to it just because it is relatively thick. You can see the thickness here on the side profile of the shoe. And again, it's something that covers your foot and holds your foot on the base of the sole plate, and that's about it. That's really all it's going to provide. And again, that's pretty much all you can expect at this particular price range. In terms of feel, it's not very good, obviously. It's a very stiff, kind of thick material, has a very plasticky sensation on your foot. Not the most flexible thing in the world. Obviously, they will get more flexible as you wear them in. That's the case with any soccer shoe, really. But again, if you're looking for a premium feel of any kind, that's really not what you're getting from this particular shoe. The laces do run through the middle, as you guys can see, so that's fairly standard. The tongue is basically just a padded mesh material. Unusual, it doesn't have a little kind of tab holding the tongue up, so it kind of just falls down when your foot's not in there. Not really a big deal, but something that you kind of expect on most shoes nowadays, but these don't have it for whatever reason. Moving on to the heel area, it's very, very open, as you guys can see, and it's pretty bulky, and that there is a ton of padding back here. It's set up more like a running shoe than a soccer shoe in the heel area, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but again, it kind of adds a lot of bulk to the shoe, which is kind of the opposite of where soccer cleats are headed nowadays, especially if you're buying high-end. You want things to fit a little bit more streamlined and be as non-bulky as possible, if that makes any sense. There is somewhat of an internal heel counter there. It's very low, and it's not the stiffest thing in the world. I wouldn't even guess that it's plastic. It's probably just some kind of hard, almost cardboard type material, if that makes any sense. The lining itself is just a solid mesh with, again, tons and tons of padding. You can see the thickness of the padding there on the side. The insole, it is fully glued down. You can't really pull it out, and it sits directly on top of what is pretty much a solid rubber outsole. That includes the sole plate as well as the studs themselves, but the sole plate is actually riveted to the upper, which is actually kind of interesting. 2 rivets at the front, 1 rivet at the back. So from a durability standpoint, I would expect these things to be pretty bulletproof. As far as the rubber outsole itself is concerned, you can see it has some decent thickness to it. It's stiffer than you might expect, but at the end of the day, it is just rubber. So as you wear them in, it will become a lot more flexible. There's not really any structure specific to certain areas of the sole plate, just because it is a flat piece of rubber. And the studs themselves, it's a very standard layout, similar to what you might find on a pair of Copa Mundials or Mizuno Morelias. It's kind of just a standard soccer cleat stud pattern. The studs are relatively short, and again, they're made from a fairly soft rubber material, so you would expect these to wear down over time, although from a traction standpoint, they'll be very, very basic, obviously not very aggressive at all. If you're playing on really nice fields, these aren't going to work too well. But if you're playing on harder ground or something like that, you're probably not going to have any issues in regards to traction, just because, again, this is a standard stud pattern that we've seen many times before, and it's a layout that people used for years and years and years, up until basically the last, let's say, 15 years, where stud patterns started to get a lot more varied than what we see right here. But again, you're still going to get pretty much the same stud pattern on a pair of Copas, which I would consider to be a very, very good pair of shoes. The only thing long-term that you'd have to worry about in regards to this particular sole plate stud pattern setup is, 1, the studs wearing away because it is a softer rubber, and 2, the rubber itself actually drying out. What you'll find is that the rubber will dry out and eventually start to crack, but that's after quite a while. And again, for $11, how much can you really expect from these shoes. So that's pretty much it in terms of what you're getting for what is a super, super low price for not only a pair of soccer cleats, but just a pair of brand new shoes in general. As far as the sizing and availability is concerned, they only seem to have full sizes at my Walmart, so I'm doubtful that they make them in half sizes. That's something we'll talk about a little bit more during the on-feet portion of the video, just in terms of fit. But again, from what I saw, they only had full sizes available. So if you are in need of a half size, unfortunately, I just don't think they make it, or they don't make it available at least. So again, really, really hard to complain at the price point that these are at. But when it comes to soccer cleats and quality, you truly do get what you pay for, is kind of what I'm getting at. If you just, again, need the basics of what a soccer shoe is, these will get that done for you. But if you're playing soccer a lot, it's something that you're taking more seriously, I really do feel like it's worth the investment of spending perhaps 10, 20 times more than these cost on a single pair of shoes, because like I said, the product that you're getting is really going to be that much better. When it comes to weight, again, you can only expect so much from a shoe that costs so little, but for the sake of just knowing how much they weigh, I'm going to weigh them for you today in real time using this scale. Keep in mind that this is a brand new pair in a size 9 US. We're going to throw them on the scale, and you can see that they weigh in at 10.35 ounces, the equivalent of 293 grams, just over the 10 ounce mark, which, again, not lightweight by any means, but not exceptionally heavy either. So from a weight standpoint, honestly, there's not too much to complain about here. They're, again, not super light, but I don't think anybody was expecting that in the first place. So definitely gets a pass, in my opinion, when it comes to weight, just given the styling and quality of the shoe in general, the materials that they've used. I would expect them to weigh a lot more, but fortunately, they don't. Aesthetically, I really don't think that these look all that great, but again, they only cost about $11, so you're just not expecting the Superfly look, if that makes any sense. This shoe was available in 2 colorways at the Walmart I got them at. There was the orange one that I have right here, and then there was a blue colorway available as well, both very, very bright, which I don't think helps the look of the shoe all that much. I think perhaps if they were all black, it would look less cheap, but again, you have this shiny, almost laminated finish to the entire upper. If you look closely, it has kind of this artificial weave that's supposed to look like carbon fiber or some kind of woven material, but obviously it's just kind of a plasticky synthetic. You have obviously the black and orange color scheme, very, very bright orange, black as an accent, black laces, heel liner, the entire outsole is black with some orange accents as well, and the Rawlings R logo right there in the middle on the lateral side. Same thing with Rawlings written out here on the back of the heel. So they look cheap, they feel cheap, and they are cheap. That's really what it is. You can't complain about the look or the quality of this shoe because the price reflects what you're actually getting. So again, I don't think you can set your expectations too high. If you're buying a pair of $11 shoes from Walmart, you can only expect so much. And again, for $11, I'm surprised that they are as nice as they are. So looks wise, definitely not the best looking shoe. They arguably do look like $20 shoes, which they are. But again, you get what you pay for. And I really don't think that most people buying these are going to be too concerned about how they look anyways. All right, so here is a look at the shoes on feet. On my left foot, I have the stock black laces that come with the shoes. And on my right foot, I threw in some bright orange wide SR4U replacement laces, which are an absolute perfect match to the orange of the shoe. I was really surprised about that. But nonetheless, if you are interested in a pair of replacement laces, the website to go to is www.sr4ulaces.com. Find a little pop-up on screen as well as a link down below in the description that'll take you directly to that website. So again, if you're interested, pop up on screen, link in the description, go ahead and check it out. Now, in terms of how these things fit and feel on feet, they aren't uncomfortable, I will say that. In fact, I think pretty much anybody could put these on and find them to be somewhat comfortable. Does that mean they fit well? No, because they really don't. It does have a sloppy kind of high volume fit. The heel doesn't really have much stability to it just because it is so wide open. But again, they're $11. What can you really expect? So the material itself, it does have some stiffness to it, but again, it doesn't feel like it's squeezing your foot. in any way that feels uncomfortable. It's got a pretty wide base to it and a high volume fit in general, meaning that it's pretty wide and pretty tall on the inside. So there are certain parts where my foot is just not touching the upper at all. It just kind of has a lot of extra space on the inside, volume-wise, if that makes any sense. And the heel, in my opinion, it's just too wide open. This mesh material doesn't really grip your sock all that well. It's just super wide, and there is potential for heel slippage, although I wouldn't say it's detrimental to the fit. It's more so detrimental to just the stability. I can feel myself standing in this shoe and almost kind of like teetering back and forth just because there just isn't a lot of structure to the upper, there isn't a lot of structure in the heel, and the sole plate's solid rubber, so it's not really providing any kind of structural to the base of the shoe either. So that would be my biggest gripe when it comes to the actual performance of the shoe. And again, unsurprisingly, it's not the greatest, but you can only expect so much given the cost. And that's something that I'm just gonna kind of repeat so many times throughout this video because, yeah, they're not good, but they're only $11, so how much can you really expect? As far as the overall width of the shoe is concerned, again, it's got lots of width to it. They'll fit just about anybody. Obviously, they probably have them at your local Walmart, so try them on if you really are interested in a pair. And as far as sizing is concerned, these are a 9 US, which is what I would normally wear. Like I mentioned earlier, they don't seem to make them in half sizes, at least they weren't available. If half sizes were available, I probably would have dropped down to an 8.5 just because these do seem to run a little bit big, but given that 9 was the only size available, 8 was too small, 10 was obviously way too big, I stuck with a 9, and the fit is okay. That's really the best way to describe it. They don't fit amazingly well, but size-wise, just go true to size or go with the closest thing, I suppose. Ideally, you'd want to be a half size and then just go down to get the proper fit. But again, if you're at your Walmart, try them on just for curiosity's sake. If you're not necessarily genuinely interested in purchasing a pair, just to see what it's like. Because again, I think you'll definitely see a big difference in terms of fit, especially when you stand up in comparison to something that costs a little bit more money. So again, they're not unwearable, but they're definitely not up to par with pretty much anything from any of the major brands from a fit standpoint. All right, guys, that is it for my review of the Walmart shoes, more specifically the Rawlings Stadio 16. Obviously, this is kind of something different for me to feature on the channel, given that I do have access and have worn pretty much every high-end and low-end shoe from all the major soccer brands. So to go to a Walmart and pick up a pair of shoes for $11, it was something that I thought was kind of interesting. I know this video was perhaps a lot longer than it needed to be, but I really pride myself with my videos in giving you guys as much information as possible, where you walk away from that video with knowledge that you didn't have before. So what I want you guys to take away from this video is I'm not hating on these at all. They're not copying anybody. They're not charging an amount of money that I think is excessive given the quality of the shoe. In fact, I would expect them to cost a lot more. But again, given how cheap these are, I really think you can only expect so much, and I'm genuinely surprised at what you're able to get at such a low price. So would I recommend these to you? If you're on an absolutely extreme budget, then I suppose so. But again, I don't think that $11 is an amount of money, if you're watching this video at least, that you couldn't perhaps make a little bit more, save a little bit more, and get something a little bit better, especially if you're really serious about playing this sport. But if you need a pair of backup shoes or a really cheap pair of shoes, perhaps for the muddy part of the season, just for practices or something like that, or you're just genuinely curious and instead of going to McDonald's, you go buy a pair of $11 soccer cleats, by all means, take a look at these. But again, I think if you're serious about the sport, it's definitely worth it to spend a little bit more, get something better quality. And again, I think the experience is going to be a lot better from a higher end pair of shoes. But for $11, definitely surprising. And again, I can't really hate on them considering how cheap they actually are. So I look forward to another video of me actually playing in these in the near future on the channel. If you guys enjoyed this style of video, perhaps want to see more or even have any suggestions, leave a like, leave a suggestion down below in the comment section, and I'll take a look at everything you guys have to say. If you have any questions, leave those down below in the comments as well, and I definitely will get an answer out to you. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all my social media information linked in the description as well. And other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video, and as always, thanks for watching.